When a person says, I don't want to be religious, what do they mean by that? When a person says, how do you know which religion is the right one? What do they mean by that?
How do you know it's the truth?
So the first thing we have to do is make sure that we know what we're talking about. So before you say, I do want or I don't want to be religious, before you say, I like this religion, that religion, whatever religion, no religion, you first have to know, what does religion mean? You can't talk about something before you know what it is. So, let's get this very clear. Religion began with idols. How did our history begin? God created Adam and Chava and spoke to them. Did they believe in God? They didn't believe in Him, they spoke to Him. So to them, was believing in God like a religion? Of course not. They spoke to Him. They argued with Him. When did religion begin? When people started to believe in idols. Why do you have to believe in idols? Because they don't talk to you. So all you can do is make up a belief. Then people got so confused that if somebody said to them, do you believe in the idol? They said, no, I believe in God. You don't believe in God. God spoke to you. God created the world. God spoke to Avraham, and He spoke to Yitzchak, and He spoke to Yaakov, and He spoke to Adam, and He spoke to Noach. You don't believe in God. God is not a belief. Idols are a belief. So, religion means you take on a certain way of life because you hope or believe that it will get you somewhere. It'll get you to heaven. That if you behave a certain way, God will be nice to you. That's a religion. So every religion has a reward. That's not what Judaism is. We were standing at Har Sinai, and God came down at Har Sinai and said, can you do me a favor? I already did you a favor. I took you out of Mitzrayim. Now can you do me a favor? So what is Yiddishkeit? Yiddishkeit is not behaving a certain way so that you'll get something from God. It's the opposite. Mitzvahs are the things that God needs from us. That's very different. That's why, in the Rebbe's letters, when people ask, how do you know for sure that Torah is real, is true? And the Rebbe always says, because there were 2 million people there at Har Sinai. Can't have 2 million people all be crazy in the same way. So if 2 million people say they heard something, then they heard something. So it's not just a proof. It means we're doing something different. It's not somebody came along and said, God told me something, believe me. It's not believing. It's a different thing. So, religion means, maybe not according to the dictionary, but in real life, religion means I'm going to behave a certain way because it will bring me some benefit. Yes? God will give me a good life, I'll go to heaven, I'll have a front seat, whatever. Yiddishkeit means there are 613 things that God needs from us. He needs. So what happens if you do them? If you do them, then God will get what He needed from His creation. And what do we get? What do we get? We get the opportunity to do for God what He needs. That's what we get. And there is nothing better than that. So, is Judaism a religion? It's not supposed to be. You can turn it into a religion. If you ask people who never learned Chassidus, who are frum, and you say, why are you doing this? What are they going to say? Olam haba, to get to Gan Eden. Well, then you've turned it into a religion. And Yiddishkeit is not supposed to be a religion. That's also why most Jews, if you ask them, are you religious? They say no. But they go to whatever, the temple or the synagogue on Yom Kippur. They light a Hanukkah menorah. They eat, make a Seder, Erev Pesach. But they're not religious. Which is correct. If you do 613 mitzvahs, are you religious? No. In fact, this is really powerful. Look through the entire Torah from the beginning to the end and tell me, what is the Hebrew word for religion? There is no such word in the entire Torah. The modern Hebrew word exists, but in Torah there is no word for religion. Because Yiddishkeit is not a religion. Now people ask, what do you mean God needs? God really needs? Have we talked about this already? Okay. God really needs. When He came down to Har Sinai, He said, Anochi Hashem Elokecha, Asher Hitzeisicha me'eretz Mitzrayim. Why did He have to remind us that He took us out of Mitzrayim? It was only 50 days ago. Our memory is not that bad. We came out of Mitzrayim 50 days ago. Why does He have to remind us that He took us out of Mitzrayim? He's not reminding us. He's saying, I am going to ask you to do me a favor. Why? Because I just did you a favor. So, I have a right to ask you to return the favor. So that's what He's saying. Because I took you out of Mitzrayim, that's why I'm going to ask you now to do what I need, because I did what you needed. So you see that the mitzvahs, all of them, are what He needs from us, not what we need from Him. So, for example, Kabed asavicha ve'esimecha. Who needs to honor parents? We have our reasons. We need to honor our parents just to be sane. To be a normal human being, you have to honor your parents. And that can be very important. But whose mitzvah is it? It's His mitzvah, which means He needs you to honor your parents much more than you need to honor your parents. It's His mitzvah. And the question, why does He need, how come He needs, it's not a good question. It's not a nice question. Like, for example, if a wife says to her husband, I need you to do this, or I need you to stop doing this. And the husband says, why? It's not nice. It's not nice. I say, for example, I can't stand it when you scratch the blackboard. And you say, why? You're so nasty. That's like saying, you want me to stop scratching the blackboard? Why? Just because you can't stand it? That's not a good reason. Tell me why. Give me a good reason. Oh, I thought the fact that I can't stand it was a pretty good reason, if you're my friend. So if I tell you I can't stand it, and you say, why? What, the fact that I can't stand it is not enough of a reason? I hate when you do that, so don't do it. Oh, why? I just told you why, because I hate when you do that. Yeah, well, that's not a good reason. That's so nasty. So if God says, I need it, what are you saying, why? The important thing is, He needs it. Now, either do it or don't do it. But don't start with a philosophy. So how can God need? What's the difference? If He says He needs, He needs. Not only is He asking us for a favor, He's actually telling us what He created us for in the first place. This is what we exist for. This is the purpose for which we were created. So you see, there's a huge difference between religion and Yiddishkeit. There's a difference between non-Jews and Jews. Non-Jews need a religion to connect them to God. We don't. We don't need a religion. We don't need to be religious to be related to God, because we are born with a nefesh elikis. We're already related to Him. We're His children, we're His wife, whatever you want to call it. We're related. So why do we need to be religious? We don't. The Eibishter needs a nefesh elikis to do His mitzvahs so that we get closer. But we don't need a religion. So when a Jew is doing mitzvahs, he's not being religious, he's just being Jewish. See, that's why it makes sense that the Rebbe started Mivtzoyim. All religious people, religious Jews, didn't understand it. What's the point of stopping someone and putting on tefillin with him one time? You put on tefillin one time, you don't become religious. So what's the point? You see what? That's the point. The point is, we're not asking Jews to become religious. We're asking them to do something for God. If you can do something for God right now, you shouldn't do it because you're not going to do it again tomorrow? If I need a favor from you now, you're not going to do it because then you're going to have to do me another favor? So if you think Judaism is a religion, then it doesn't make sense to go on Mivtzoyim. If it's not a religion, then it makes sense. So when somebody says, why should I be religious? The answer is don't. Don't be religious. Just do something for the Eibishter every time you can. So what does it mean? Every boy says in his bar mitzvah maimer, Im tzadakta matiten loy v'rabu peshe'echa matasa loy. If you're a tzaddik, what does that do for the Eibishter? Nothing. If you're terrible, so what does He care? That's what it says. Does that mean that He doesn't really care if you do a mitzvah? It means He doesn't really care whether you're a tzaddik as long as you do the mitzvah. He doesn't care if you're religious, because this is not a religion. What He cares is that you should put on tefillin. Will that make you religious? Hopefully not. So if you do 10 mitzvahs, now you're religious? No, you're doing 10 mitzvahs. If you do 600 mitzvahs, now are you religious? Hopefully not. You're just Jewish, which is the right thing to do.